What's the big deal about Kiddush HaChodesh? Welcome to the Siva Shalom on all Parsha for Parshas Bo. We're all very familiar with the first Rashi in Chumash that describes this week's Parsha. When in this week's Parsha, as we're getting ready for the great moment of Yetzias Mitzrayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he introduces the laws of Korban Pesach, begins with that first command. Rashi tells us at the beginning of the Chumash that the Torah could have begun in this week's Parsha with the mitzvah of HaChodesh HaZelachem, that this is the calendar, this is the new moon. And the Rebbe has many questions, some of them are well-known questions, about why is this the first mitzvah? But not only that, when it is reported and it's said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Moshe and Aaron, it says that he spoke to them in Eretz Mitzrayim. Why is this specifically, when most mitzvahs do not tell us where Hashem was, where the recipient was? Here it says that it was in Eretz Mitzrayim. Why is that so? And furthermore, it says HaChodesh Hazel Lachem. Chazal tell us in the Medrash that Lachem, it is for you, means that from the time of Adam HaRishon until now, all time was counted by way of the sun. And only now Klal Yisrael was the one, Lachem, for you, Velola Akum, and not to the non-Jews. You are the only ones who count for you according to this schedule. So why is it that Kiddush HaChodesh, that the new moon, the Jewish calendar, is so central, that it should be the introduction to life, it should be the first mitzvah, it should be connected to the Exodus itself. And here it should highlight that it was for the Jewish people and not for others. The Rebbe has many answers to this in a piece called HaChodesh Zalachem, where he says multiple answers to this question, but let's just explore two of them. First, the Rebbe says that the idea that we are like the moon and not like the sun is simply that Klal Yisrael's history will be one where we have ups and downs. Many of us are familiar with the many, many heroic stories, especially about the Kleisenberger Rebbe, who was able to overcome every difficulty, the most horrible conditions in the time of the Milchama, in the time of the Holocaust, and still hold on to his faith, not only hold on to his faith, but also hold on and rebuild for all of Klal Yisrael. How did he do this? The stories are told that he was once asked, how did you do it? And he said, I held on from Kiddush Levana to Kiddush Levana. Regarding Kiddush Levana, Chazal say that as anyone who benches the new moon, it's as if he received HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Why is that so? Because the Yid knows that we have ups and we have downs, and if we will be going through something difficult, we will rise again. Elsewhere, the Rebbe says that this is expressed in the idea of Vayhi Erev Vayhi Voker. Not only are we like the moon, but indeed we understand that the great things in life, or all things in life, begin with the night and then express themselves in the day. These are concepts that are, of course, true in terms of basic chronology and calendar making. But it's true about how we see the world. If there will be a night, there will be Mitzrayim. We will still have Yetzias Mitzrayim. If there will be a night, there will be all of the Golios of Klal Yisrael. There will still be the redemption. If there will be the night, there will be Olam Haza. There will still be Olam Haba. If there will be the different difficulties of the Gulf, there will ultimately be the Geula Shlema. There will always be Vayhi Voker. And so the first idea that we count according to the Chama is that we relate to the Chama. To the Levana. We relate to the Levana. We are like the moon in that we have ups and we have downs, and we totally understand that and we accept it. But here the Rebbe says something even deeper. That Chazal say that the difference between the sun and the moon is that the sun only has shlita, it only has dominion during the day. Whereas the moon, as we know, has some dominion during the day, and of course, most of its dominion is at night. It is sholet by Yom Uvalayla. So what does that have to do with Klal Yisrael? It has to do with our sense of devotion to Hashem. We know, of course, there are many spiritual people out there. However, the Rebbe says their spirituality often, the other nations, is dependent on the idea that things are going well. Things are going well, then we can have a robust relationship with our sense of our Creator. But Klal Yisrael is specific in that their connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sholet bayom. It is applicable and evident during the day when things are going well, and it is sholet balayla. It is evident even at night. And therefore the Rebbe says, that's why it says lachem. This is specific to you. You are the ones who act this way. You are the ones who can be who he relies upon to still recognize him even in the difficult times. To know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a plan, to accept it. The Rebbe says that we know that Chazal identify for us there are 10 nisyonos of Avraham Avinu. That he has 10 tests, And the Rishonim grapple with what are those 10 tests. But in many ways, although there are differences, essentially they're very similar in the sense that the Rebbe is addressing only one such list. That the first of them we could perhaps count as the Nisayon in Ur Kasdim. Will he be willing to be thrown into the fire? And so that's a question of will you or won't you? And the last one is Akedas Yitzchak. Will you or won't you offer Yitzchak as a carbon? But many of the other ones are not like that. Many of the other ones the Rebbe says, all of the other ones he says indeed, are really tests of faith. They're not tests of will you or won't you. They are now that you got to Eretz Yisrael and there is a famine, now that you got to Mitzrayim and your wife is taken away, these are the various kinds of tests. That your situation is difficult. So what's the avoda there? Is it that I should pass the test by doing what you are commanding me? That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is not like that at all. What's going on here is, will you pass the test that your emunah is sholit by Yom Alayla? There are times of Laila. In fact, Chazal tell us that as we perceive the world, there are times of difficulty. When they tell us in the Mishnah, the Kashem Shemavarchan ala Tova, Kach Mavarchan ala Ra, that if something difficult happens, we have to make a bracha. That means we can see something as difficult. And if we can see something as difficult, so what's the Nisayon? The Nisayon is indeed to know that it is the will of Hashem. That there is no Ra that comes from Hashem. Hester Panim is an identity reality of Klal Yisrael. That we relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu even when he's hidden, even when we can't understand it, and we're devoted to him. With many Nisyonos of Avram were like that. And that's a message of Klal Yisrael is Doma L'Levana. And we count according to the Levana. We count according to the moon. The moon on the one hand tells us there will be ups and downs. The moon also tells us that even in those downs, even in the darkness of night, the moon is still sholet. The emunah of Klal Yisrael is still going to be there. And we have to serve Hashem with as much love and robust commitment as when things are like this or they're like that. If it comes from Hashem, it's tov, it's good. This can be a difficult Nisayon. That's why it's called a Nisayon by Avraham Avinu. But we have the strength to do it. And it is commanded us in Eretz Mitzrayim. The Rebbe says several things here. But it's commanded us in Eretz Mitzrayim because even in the depth of the difficulty, there the Yid knows Hashem. There the Yid knows that I will serve Hashem with love and affection. And so may it be Hashem's will that we indeed dedicate ourselves. That when we read that HaChodesh Zalachem could have been the first mitzvah. When we read that HaChodesh Zalachem could have been the beginning of the Torah. When we read that HaChodesh Zalachem is for you and not for others. When we read that this is what leads to Yetzias Mitzrayim and Korban Pesach, which we understand to be the highest pinnacles of the service of Hashem. We dedicate ourselves to serve Hashem, even if things are difficult. And if we're really having difficulty, whoever's listening to this, always remember the words of Pirkei Avos. Aseh l'charav uknei l'chachaver. Reach out to others, don't be alone. Go to a mentor and go to a friend and work through the difficulties in order to serve Hashem with all your heart. Have a great Shabbos.